Hi, I'm John Stephenson, and today I'd like to talk to you about ClimateGate. For a long time I've been suspicious, highly suspicious of the whole idea that the world is warming. I frankly don't think there's any empirical evidence to prove it. And then most recently we got this shocking news from the Climate Research Unit at East Anglia University in the UK, where these hundreds of email messages were leaked out by either a hacker or an informant on the inside. And basically what it did is expose a pattern of covering up the truth, of blackballing anyone who was a critic or a skeptic, of embargoing trade journals and scholarly journals with any story that might talk about the alternative. And I think this is something that's very, very worrisome. And I think there's some potentially great opportunities for investors on the flip side of this. Clearly there's a movement in the United Nations to have climate change a real issue and a real science. But what these leaked emails showed is that it isn't a science. In fact, that the climate change debate has been intermingled with the politics of climate change. People like Al Gore, who pretend to be for the environment, are making millions as professional environmentalists, doing this for a living. And while he has a huge carbon footprint himself, he's flying around and sells these carbon offsets through another company where he's making millions doing this. Frankly, I think it's disgusting. I think it's a tax on wealthy countries, and really what it's going to do is allow poor countries who want this huge transfer that we've now agreed that we will do to play catch up on the environmental game, to pollute themselves. It's ironic when we have Copenhagen going on this week, the whole notion of climate change being debated, that they didn't have enough limousines in Denmark to meet all the dignitaries, and so they had to bring them in from Germany. This is the kind of level that the debate is at. It's highly politicized, it's not objective, it's not scientific. Not to mention that the science itself is questionable. Why is it questionable? Well, consider this. What does it take to accurately predict the science of climate? You have to know something about winds, water temperatures, surface velocities, etc. It's virtually impossible mathematically to do that. Think about the difficulties that we have in just predicting our own weather. One of the reasons why so many studies have been done in the financial markets is the data is good. But even in those markets, it's virtually impossible to predict the future. No, I don't think the world is warming. It may be, but it's not because of the science, the so-called science of climate change. Why it may be warming? Well, who knows? And even if it is, I think we're going to see a strong pushback to this so-called ClimateGate and its repercussions. And if that's the case, it's going to be very good news for offshore drillers, for oil sands players who've been unfairly stigmatized, and many companies have been unable to buy certain assets because of these environmental and green movement. This is a professional, organized movement, and frankly, it's wrong. Thank you very much.